The Trump administration has always been vocal about its stance on immigration. From the very beginning, it made clear that changes to immigration policies would be a priority. But now, it appears that illegal immigrants from Africa are the latest group under scrutiny. Thousands of African nationals living in the U.S. without legal status may soon face deportation back to their home countries. This isn't just about immigration policies. It's about livelihoods, families, and international relations. So what does this mean for Africa and its people? How will these changes impact the continent, both socially and economically? Let's break it down in this comprehensive discussion. But before we dive into the details, subscribe to Africa Info Hub for insightful content on Africa's development, news, and global affairs. Now, let's get started. The U.S. Immigration Office recently published a report listing over 1.4 million non-citizens facing deportation from the United States. While Latin American countries like Mexico, El Salvador, and Honduras have the highest numbers, African nations aren't far behind. According to the data, Somalia tops the African list with over 4,000 nationals potentially facing deportation. They're followed closely by individuals from Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Ethiopia, and several other African countries. This is a significant development, as African immigrants have historically played a vital role in various sectors of the U.S. economy. Many of these individuals have lived in the United States for years, building careers, supporting families, and contributing to their communities. Now, they face an uncertain future. President Donald Trump, who took office earlier this month, wasted no time implementing aggressive immigration policies. His administration launched what it calls the largest deportation operation in American history. Within his first week in office, Trump signed multiple executive orders targeting immigration, including one declaring a national emergency at the U.S.-Mexico border. The administration has deployed around 4,000 active-duty troops to reinforce the southern border and has also begun deportation flights using military aircraft. These measures mark a stark departure from previous administrations' approaches to immigration enforcement. But why such an aggressive stance? Trump has cited national security and economic concerns as the primary reasons for these actions. He claims that millions of migrants illegally entered the country during his predecessor's tenure, posing a threat to American jobs and public safety. For African immigrants, this crackdown is devastating. Many have lived in the U.S. for decades, establishing roots and contributing to the nation's cultural and economic fabric. Deportation not only disrupts their lives but also poses significant challenges for their home countries. Consider Somalia, which tops the list of African nations facing deportations. The country has struggled with political instability and violence for years. The sudden return of thousands of deportees could exacerbate existing challenges, overwhelming social services and creating economic strain. Nigeria, on the other hand, has expressed readiness to manage the return of its nationals. Reports suggest that the West African nation has established an interagency committee to facilitate necessary arrangements for Nigerians who may face deportation. But will other African nations follow suit? And what happens to those deportees who have little or no ties to their home countries? The economic impact of these deportations cannot be ignored. Remittances from the diaspora play a crucial role in many African economies. Deporting thousands of African immigrants could lead to a significant decline in remittances, affecting families and local economies. Moreover, the reintegration of deportees poses its own set of challenges. Many deportees return to countries with high unemployment rates and limited economic opportunities. This can lead to social unrest and further economic strain. To understand the gravity of the situation, take Ghana as an example. Remittances from the Ghanaian diaspora contribute over $3 billion annually to the nation's GDP. A sudden drop in this financial inflow could disrupt the livelihoods of countless families dependent on these funds. In countries like Ethiopia, where the diaspora has invested heavily in real estate, technology, and manufacturing sectors, deportations could lead to a slowdown in economic growth. How will these nations adapt to the loss of such significant economic contributors? Beyond the economic implications, there are social and cultural consequences to consider. Deportees often face stigma and discrimination upon their return. They may be seen as failures or criminals, even if they were deported for administrative reasons rather than criminal activity. The sudden return of thousands of individuals can also disrupt social dynamics, particularly in close-knit communities. Families may be torn apart, with some members remaining in the U.S. while others are forced to return to Africa. Moreover, the cultural integration challenges for returnees cannot be overlooked. Many have spent years or even decades in the U.S., adopting American cultural norms. Reintegration into traditional African societies can be a daunting task. Nigeria's proactive approach to managing deportations is commendable, but not all African nations have the capacity or willingness to do the same. Some countries have resisted accepting deportees, citing concerns about their ability to reintegrate them. This resistance has led to diplomatic tensions between the U.S. and certain African nations. Washington has urged countries across the world to accept the return of their nationals, but not all have complied. The African diaspora has a critical role to play in this situation. Diaspora organizations and advocacy groups can provide support to deportees, helping them navigate the challenges of reintegration. They can also advocate for fair and humane immigration policies in the U.S. Moreover, the diaspora can leverage its influence to foster stronger ties between Africa and the U.S., promoting dialogue and understanding. As the Trump administration continues its aggressive immigration enforcement campaign, the future remains uncertain for thousands of African immigrants. Will African nations rise to the occasion, or will they struggle to handle the sudden influx of returnees? Behind the statistics are real people with real stories. These are individuals who have built lives in the U.S., contributed to their communities, and dreamed of a better future for themselves and their families. Their stories deserve to be heard and acknowledged. As we discuss the broader implications of these deportations, let us not forget the human cost. Families will be separated, dreams will be shattered, and lives will be forever changed. So what do you think? How will these deportations affect Africa's development and its people? Will African nations rise to the occasion or struggle to handle the sudden influx of returnees? Could this be an opportunity for growth, or will it be a setback? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your network, and subscribe to Africa Info Hub for more engaging discussions on Africa's role in global affairs.